So lately there's been lots of talks about a Nintendo Switch 2, a Nintendo Switch successor, and it's not just because of the leaks and rumors that are happening with this. I feel like it's something a bit more. Just looking at the life cycle of the Switch, it's kind of like, all right, it's time to start learning about something new. This is actually Nintendo's longest running home console, and yes, it's a hybrid console, but still, without an announcement about a new system on the horizon, this is the longest running main platform for Nintendo to date. When you look at their software library for 2023, there's obviously some massive questions happening with this, and you just get to a point where it's like you need to move on to the next thing. I know there are some Nintendo people who don't like to hear that, and they get a little angry and like, what? A new Switch? No, the Switch will last forever. And it's like, bro, just calm down. And that's why I'm not a Nintendo YouTuber, because some of these people are absolutely crazy. I'm just a person who happens to talk about Nintendo a lot. And yeah, sometimes I make people mad, but today we're not talking about RGT making people mad. No, sir. We're talking about this man right here. Look at this man with his bald head, his bushy eyebrows, thick mustache, his little beard. I like to look at people's rooms like, what's going on here? Did he have some top secret document that he couldn't show it on his camera, so he had to cover it up? But this is MVG, my friend here, ModernVintageGamer, who made a video yesterday that now has a lot of people and websites talking about his video, Nintendo's backwards compatibility problem. I don't like this title, MVG. You didn't put the word Switch in the title, or Switch 2. You could have made it way more clickbaity, and it's not even bad clickbait. It's just using bigger keywords, but whatever. I mean, the video got 100,000 views in a day, so you know what you're doing. Like, what's going on? Looking on his room here. All right, we're not going to analyze his room, but we are going to analyze his video, because in his video, he posed some interesting problems that the Nintendo Switch is going to face in the future when it comes to backwards compatibility and whatever this new system is. Now, within this, he does a lot of tech talk, and I'm not the biggest techie person in the world. Basing things on like the Tegra X1 chip that is used in the Nintendo Switch was also used with something else that Nvidia had at the time, the Shield TV, which they don't manufacture anymore, thus making these games that were running and designed for this Tegra chip harder to put over onto something else. And it's a really good video. There's lots of stuff to look into it. I definitely recommend checking it out. But this video, link in the description, by the way, but this video set a lot of people off, and I've seen so much discourse on Twitter of just people like calling out MVG and saying that his analysis of this, which is just an opinion, it's an opinion based on factual things that we know about the hardware that we have right now and how it would shape and form itself in the future. And people are just like, well, why is this being touted as the definitive answer? And it's like, nobody touted this as a definitive answer. This is something that that MVG, I should say, is just simply sort of exploring and simply, stating his facts as a developer who shipped video games, not some jackass on Twitter, not some jackass on social media, a developer who has shipped video games for the system we're talking about. He's developed games for the Nintendo Switch and other platforms. So I think he sort of understands how backwards compatibility works. But stripping away the technical side of things, I keep seeing this stupid graph. Look at this Nintendo graph. Every time I do it makes me laugh. And it makes me laugh because people keep showcasing this graph. And I don't think that people understand what this graph actually means, like what it's actually saying, because whenever you talk about backwards compatibility, people showcase this graph because oh, look, your Nintendo account goes over. Okay, what does that have to do with backwards compatibility? You do realize that your Nintendo account is just talking about your online account that you use to play stuff online, that is used for the Nintendo Switch's current online service that allows you access to retro games, right? You do understand that, right? Because I don't think a lot of people understand that, because in their minds, they seem to think that that's talking about backwards compatibility, and that's what's saying that's going to be available on the next system. And I'm like, dude, that's not really what that's saying. But people like to use that graph, and people like to go off on that graph. Looking at the Nintendo as a whole, as a company, people say, oh, well, backwards compatibility, they always do backwards compatibility. And I'm like, that's news to me. That is news to me, because last time I checked, they don't. They don't really do a lot of backwards compatibility. Yes, you had it with the GameCube to the Wii. You had it to the Wii to the Wii U. But before that, you had N64 and GameCube, and you had, you know, NES and Super NES and stuff like that. You had the Wii U to the Nintendo Switch. They change things up when they do these systems. And most of the time, it's a bit of a drastic change. You know, thinking about what you're doing with the Nintendo Switch here, you are not using a disc-based medium. You are using a proprietary little cartridge that is very expensive, that limits the amount of games that can come onto the system, because companies have to realize that, oh, we're gonna have to have a mandatory download. Are you magically going to have bigger cartridges for bigger games? Like, I don't understand. You know, if we go with this same physical medium, that seems to be a bit of a problem, doesn't it? But like I said, this is all just speculation and sort of guesswork. You know, that's what this all sort of boils down to, is MVG as a developer is talking about the things that he sees as a problem. RGT as a YouTuber, as a random man, is just looking at historical things and looking at the situation as it is now, and is just giving his opinion on it. But people get so damn mad about this thing. But I feel like the biggest thing that when you look at the Nintendo Switch and, you know, and realize that it has another system coming, that should be the biggest thing that scares the shit out of you. It should scare you, is the fact that the highest selling Nintendo Switch game is a Wii U re-release. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is a Wii U re-release with additional content, a new mode, and now it's been getting all of these DLC packs. It's been getting DLC packs out the wazoo. Every game that was available on the Wii U that ended up being ported over to the Nintendo Switch sold pretty damn well. Let's be realistic here. But the best one is Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. You're gonna sit there and tell me that Nintendo isn't sitting there, because Nintendo is a business at the end of the day. Let's get that straight. Let's get that perfectly straight. You're telling me Nintendo is sitting there as a business looking at this and thinking to themselves, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is the best-selling game. This is a Wii U game. We've added so much more content into this game as time has gone on. There's new tracks, there's new courses that you have to pay for the Nintendo Switch Online service to get, or you can buy this. Why should we make a new one for our new hardware when we could just make Mario Kart 8 Super Deluxe that has every single bit of DLC on there, maybe throw in a couple additional courses and some additional characters? If that's the case, then why would they allow you to access your Mario Kart 8 Deluxe that already exists? You're not going to be able to resell that game. You're going to tell me that Nintendo's not going to want to resell some of these games? I don't know, man. A lot of you guys seem to think that video game companies are your friends, and I try to teach you all the time that video game companies are not your friends. Like maybe indie companies, because you can talk to them, but these big companies are not your friends. They want one thing at the end of the day. They want your money. Okay, if you're not giving them your money, they have to do things in order to warrant you giving them their money, your money, or else they go out of business. Like, that's just how video game companies work. If they're not selling stuff, if they're not selling products, then they go out of business. And, you know, Nintendo marches to the beat of their own drum. MVG is not saying that this system is not going to have, this new system is not going to have backwards compatibility. RGT is not saying that this new system is not going to have backwards compatibility, but it's a thought that you should have in your mind. It's a very realistic thought that you should have within your mind, that potentially your physical, because, you know, their physical collection of Nintendo Switch games might not transfer over to the next system. And that's a realistic thought. That's a realistic thing. It's a realistic discussion we need to have, not just because of the fact that it could be hard from the technical side of things. Like I said, go check out MVG's video, but just from a consumer standpoint, looking at how Nintendo has been handling things, look at how Nintendo has been doing things, and looking at the success. The most highest selling game on the platform is a game from the previous generation that could not be played on the current system because the current system did not have backwards compatibility. You don't think that Nintendo is exploring that? It's very naive. It's very naive. So leave MVG alone. he's older. Even though I have the heart problems, he probably has more health problems than I have. He just avoids a doctor. But shout out to MVG. Go check out his video in the comment section down below and give me your thoughts on this, man. I just want people to be more rational with this. I want people to think more. And yes, I'm using a very clickbaity title and I'm using a very clickbaity thumbnail, but that's because I want people to actually think. I don't want people to assume everything is going to be kumbaya with this next system. I want people to think. Use your brain on this situation. These are businesses. These are companies. Their whole point is making money and pleasing shareholders, not you, the consumer. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Hit subscribe if you're new. Later.